the language Lisp friends, I am going to discuss the main characteristics of the language Lisp. As I already mentioned, the basic style of programming in Lisp is defining functions and applying through composition, or calling functions, applying compositions and recursions. This is one special feature of the language Lisp which has been repeatedly discussed by me and mentioned by me during the last 20 minutes or so. The second special feature is that when we give a command like Z is assigned X plus Y, in this case in the language C or Fortran etc., the operation plus comes between the two operands X and Y, and such an expression X plus Y is called infix operator expression. However, the Lisp is prefix notation using language. That is, instead of writing X plus Y, we will be writing plus followed by X followed by Y. That is, the operator plus comes first and then the operands come. So, second special feature of the language Lisp is that whether it is a function name or whether it is an operator, it will come in the beginning and then the other operators, operands will be mentioned. That is, it uses prefix notation. Friends, for this purpose, please look at the slide. On the slide, I just, for example, want to represent the expression X star Y plus Z minus U in the language Lisp. In this particular expression, which generally we write while writing on the paper, also we use that the operator star and minus have come in between respectively X and Y and Z and U, and therefore this notation is called infix notation. However, when we want to convey this expression to Lisp, then in Lisp it will not be written as it is written X star Y plus Z minus U. Rather, first of all, we will see what is the most you can say outer operation. First of all, you will be applying multiplication to X and Y, then you will be applying finding out the difference of Z and U, and whatever are the results of those will be added. So the addition is the last operation. Therefore, we first of all, you see the third bullet, and in the third bullet you see plus is written outside. And then we will be representing the expression X star Y, which, as I have mentioned, first the operation star will come followed by the operands X and Y. So X star Y will be represented by star XY, and similarly Z minus U will be represented by minus followed by Z followed by U. And you know the results of these two expressions will be finally added, and therefore the expression X star Y plus Z minus U becomes plus followed by star XY followed by minus ZU. And for example, if you give value 9 to X, 2 to Y and 8 to Z and 6 to U, then how it will be evaluating? You can see the first of all, X and Y will become 18, and Z minus U, where Z is 8 and U is 6, that becomes 2. So star XY evaluates to 18, minus ZU evaluates to plus 2, and then there is an operation of plus, therefore the result will be 20. In contrast to the language C, the imperative language, you can see, in the imperative language, you would have done the given the three instructions which are at the bottom of the slide. First of all, you would have found out x star y, and you would have stored in some variable, say product. Similarly, you would have found out the z minus u and would have stored in some another variable difference, and in the result variable will be the sum of the product and sum. In the later one, you are saying, you are giving command to the computer system that find out the product, find out the product of x and y, and store the result in product. You store the result, and like this one. But in the earlier, that is in the third bullet, you can see we are not saying anything else. We have written an expression plus, then bracket star xy, then bracket minus zu, and the inbuilt mechanisms of Lisp will automatically evaluate this without giving any explicit commands to the computer system. It is the inbuilt mechanisms in the Lisp environment which do the things once this expression is given to it. So I hope, friends, that you are now clear that first of all, Lisp uses prefix notation. Now we come to the third very important, very useful attribute or property of Lisp. And this is that the representation of the data as well as the programs have the same format. Please try to remember in your language C. If x, y, z are the variables, first of all you have to tell the system whether these are real numbers, whether these are natural numbers, whether these are floating point numbers, and even if it is a data structure like an array, etc., first of all you will have to tell that it is an array of this dimension, of reals or of natural numbers, etc. That is, the representational mechanism for data is different from the representation for the commands or instructions. However, the Lisp has a very big advantage, that the representation both for data and program are same. What will be the advantage of this? The advantage of this is that when you are processing a program written in a programming language and it is to be modified, there is already a program written in a programming language and it needs to be modified, then you can write a program in Lisp to modify the program, because the program as well as the data, now the program which is already written becomes the data to the modifying program in Lisp, provided the earlier program is also written in Lisp. So this is a big advantage for particularly modifying the existing programs which need to be modified for some reason or other. So the third very important attribute of Lisp language is that the data as well as the instructions or the programs are written in the same notation. And I have explained the advantage of doing so. Please, friends, now we'll see that what is the next attribute of Lisp. Lisp is highly modular programming language. Modular means that if you have very large software to be developed, and if the problem can be divided into number of smaller problems, then each problem can be programmed independent of the other modules written for solving the other subproblems. It is a big advantage. You know, there is one of the paradigms for solving problems, top-down approach. What in top-down approach we do? In top-down approach, we take a problem which is generally very complicated and comprehensive, but is on thorough investigation can be found out to be divisible or almost divisible into smaller sub-problems. And then each of the smaller sub-problem may be further divided into still smaller sub-problems. Now this division further into simpler and simpler or smaller problems can be useful if the language which is used for programming the solutions supports the modular programming. That is, the smaller parts can be programmed and then can be combined into smaller solutions of still higher problems. So if a language is modular in this sense, then it can be very useful in solving very difficult problems by dividing those problems. Of course, if the problem is divisible, always it may not be possible for a problem to be divisible into smaller problems. So modularity of Lisp language is a big advantage. Next advantage, friends, of Lisp, or the characteristic of Lisp, is the best possible among all programming languages. And that is, Lisp is based on a mathematical theory of lambda calculus. And being based on lambda calculus, any program written in Lisp can not only be verified to be true, but it can be proved. Proving a program is the ultimate goal of any software, and it is not generally achievable. However, if a software is developed in Lisp language, then it is possible to think of proving the program to be correct. Being based on the mathematical concept of lambda calculus, the language Lisp has this additional advantage over the other programming languages. Friends, why it is essential for us to write programs, and rather to prove that the programs are correct, and this sort of facility in a programming language should be essential. Why? Actually, it is so important that one of the space rocket was lost in the initial stages of space exploration, which was an American spaceship, because of a very small error in the programming language Fortran which was used at that time. And the error was because the language could not be provable in the sense that just do 12i is equal to 1 comma 5 has a meaning of recursion of the variable from I to 5. However, if this comma is replaced by point, then in that case the same instruction has totally different meaning. In that case, do 12i becomes one variable to which the value 1.5 is assigned. Friends, you see, the symbol equal to is used in two different senses. One of the senses is that you use it as values to be assigned to the variable I from 1 to 5, and in the second case, I is a part of the name, the whole name is do 12i, and you are to assign the value 1.5 to the variable do 12i. Now you can see just this minor mistake on the part of the programmer who has given a dot instead of a comma has created a havoc in the sense that a spaceship was lost. So the verification of a program being correct is highly desirable attribute of a programming language if it provides, and Lisp provides this facility. Now the next thing is, you know, every program is written for the purpose of communicating to the machine as well as to be read by the human beings also. And therefore, within a program we embed comments. The comments are not meant to be read by the machine but only by the human beings, who may be the team members of a development team for developing a very large software. So the comments have a very important role within a program which are to be ignored by the Lisp or any programming language compiler, etc. But how we give comments in Lisp? Friends, the comments in Lisp are given by putting a semicolon in the beginning of a line. Whatever follows after a semicolon in a particular line is a comment. So if you want to have a comment of 10 lines, then every line should be preceded by a semicolon followed by whatever the comment you want to give. So the comments in programming language Lisp are given by starting a line with a semicolon. Whatever follows on that particular line after the semicolon is a comment, that is, it is ignored by the compiler or interpreter of the Lisp language. So we have seen. Now on the next slide, we'll like to know what are the types of variables. In Fortran and C, you know real, then natural, and integers, etc., etc. are there. However, in the language Lisp, we don't have any declared type of variables. Another very peculiar characteristic of Lisp is that it is format free. Format free means when you want to write an instruction or any expression in Lisp, it can be spread on any number of lines you like to write it, because sometimes from the point of reading by a human being, the expression can be better expressed if it is spread in a particular format. For example, from the slide you can see we want to write the expression, the break parenthesis followed by x followed by parenthesis y z followed by right parenthesis followed by u followed by right parenthesis. Now it may be written in either of the two forms which are given on the bottom of the slide. In the case of such a small expression, the advantage of writing an expression is not visible. However, when we are writing very large expressions, friends, you can see this is quite advantageous. So one of the very important attribute of Lisp language is that it is format free. Now, however, Lisp has a very different characteristic as compared to the other languages. Some of the characters are much more important, play much more significant role as compared to the other characters in the alphabet set of the Lisp language. In this context, I'll mention only a few here. Friends, the two parentheses, the left parenthesis and the right parenthesis, are the most important characters which almost occur on every line in every expression. What is their role? What is their distinct role? We'll be discussing in a short while. However, we must be very careful that if a parenthesis is placed in a different order, then it will convey totally different meaning. For this purpose, please look at the slide. The slide in the previous case was parenthesis x followed by parenthesis y, z followed by u, etc. Now, if I had changed the middle two parentheses and taken those two middle parentheses around u instead of y, z, then in that case the meaning would have been totally different. Friends, we know in most of the programming languages, the extra pair of parentheses doesn't make any difference. But I warn you that extra pair of pair of parentheses in list will represent something different than the intended one. As I'll explain while writing the programs, therefore in the very beginning I warn you that the parentheses have to be used very carefully. Any extra pair of parentheses will have a different meaning. And secondly, which is very important, please look at the next slide, that if you don't put the parentheses appropriately, pairwise, then it will give a wrong meaning. On the line last but one, on the slide, you are having two expressions in which only one parenthesis occurs. Then both of these are illegal expressions from the point of view of Lisp. What I want to convey through this is that whenever you intend to use a pair of parentheses, the pairing must be done very carefully, and either the left or the right parenthesis must not be missed. It is a very important point to be taken into consideration. Next, friends, we know whenever we are writing programs, for example, x is assigned y plus z. Now, the y variable need to be separated from plus, and the plus need to be separated from z. So different mechanisms are there, particularly in the case of lists. We generally use the commas to separate the various entities within the list. However, in the programming language Lisp, the blank space is used as a separator. Comma has a very different meaning. You have to be careful. Even within the list, comma is not used as a separator, but blank space is used as a separator. Next thing. Now we come to the very important concept of list. You know, whenever you want to list some things, list is rather most important data structure in Lisp, and rather the only data structure in Lisp most of the time, except strings also. Now these are defined recursively. Recursively means that when you are defining a list by writing various elements of the list, then each of the elements itself may be a list, and then any element of this new list may further be another list. So for example, please look at the slide. The slide says, please look at the slide. The slide says there is a list star xy. There is another list minus zu. Then there is a outer list, the main list. The main list has three elements. One of the elements of the main list is plus. The second element of this list is itself a list consisting of two parentheses enclosing star x and y. Then the third element of the main list is again a list containing three elements, namely minus, the second element is z, and the third element is u. So friends, list is a recursive concept or data structure in the sense that a list has a number of elements. Each element within this list may be a list itself. You have another example. There are three examples at the bottom. The elements of a list may be any legal element of list. For example, 3, then you see a blank is there, which is used in the sense of separator, followed by a, then a separator. So the list 3a, c, d, etc. contains three top elements, namely 3 is one element, a is second element, and the list cd is the third element. However, the list cd, which is an element of the main list, has two elements. Similarly, there is another list. This is a list of only symbols. And lastly, there is empty list which does not contain any element. Friends, with this brief introduction to some parts of the Lisp language, we conclude here and will continue with our discussion of Lisp in the second half. Thank you.